Guillermo del Toro has made a name for himself with his unique fairy tales involving our world colliding with fantasy, and now he's taken on one of the most famous fantasy stories of all time in this new stop-motion animated adaptation of Pinocchio that is opening in select theaters this week before streaming on Netflix on December 9th. Del Toro has actually been trying to make this movie for years, but had difficulty finding anyone to fund it. Finally, Netflix stepped in and offered to produce the movie. Del Toro brought in some really talented collaborators to help work with him to bring it to life. The other director of Pinocchio is Gustafson, who spent many years working with Will Vinton and has won an Emmy Award for the television special Claymation Easter and an Annie Award for directing the animated series The PJs. He also served as an animation director on Fantastic Mr. Fox. Del Toro co-wrote the screenplay with Patrick McHale, who previously helped develop Adventure Time with Pendleton Ward and created the wonderful animated miniseries Over the Garden Wall. So with all this talent involved, what did I think of Pinocchio? This movie does a fantastic job of giving a new spin to Carlo Collodi's famous story about a sentient puppet. While they use certain elements from the classic tale, the film goes off in its own direction most of the time. From the beginning, the filmmakers established an emotional starting off point for Geppetto, with him mourning the loss of his son. When Pinocchio does come to life, it's initially not presented as a cheery moment. Both Geppetto and Pinocchio are portrayed in a complex light, with one trying to understand how best to handle this strange magical event, and the other just wanting to do whatever he wants. It does not shy away from portraying the puppet's more negative traits, and even Geppetto has his moments where he goes too far in how he responds to him and his actions. The movie finds that balance in portraying this less rosy side of the characters, while still making you emotionally invested in them. The cricket, here named Sebastian, stands out in his own way too. He's actually paired up more with Geppetto here, and I really like the dynamic between them. There's also a humorous running joke throughout the movie where he's frequently squished, which feels like a nod to his fate in the original story. One fascinating decision made by the movie is to set it in fascist Italy. Guillermo del Toro's movies often have an anti-fascist theme, and he himself has been open about this, saying he hates the idea of authoritarianism and dislikes when people are forced into a rigid belief system. So it's easy to see why the character Pinocchio would appeal to him. Throughout the film, Pinocchio spits the notion of fascism, with a sequence of the child soldier boot camp especially standing out. The carnival operator in this adaptation is given a major presence here, and Pinocchio's interactions with him as he gets exploited are also well developed. There are several other clever touches throughout the film, like how it portrays the afterlife, and they don't shy away from the fact that Pinocchio is made of wood. The film is a musical, and the songs are quite nice. They're well placed throughout the film and do serve important roles in the story. My favorite song is one titled My Boy, which serves a particularly important role in Geppetto's arc. Ewan McGregor also sings a fun end credit song in Characters the Cricket. Additionally, Alexandre Pla wrote the score and he composes some lovely and fitting melodies for the characters. The stop-motion animation is spectacular, to the surprise of nobody. Pinocchio especially stands out, the way he moves, and the animators even get laughs out of the way he smiles. I also loved how Sebastian the Cricket is animated. He's definitely the most cartoony character in the film, with several great slapstick moments, and they give him a fantastic design. There's so much craft and imagination in every frame and with every character, and several of the animators even list in the end credits before we see the cast names. I also have to mention the production design, with all the sets giving their own unique feeling, whether it's the carnival or the streets of Italy with pro-Mussolini posters hung everywhere. The story is paced incredibly well throughout the film. Pinocchio has often been seen as an episodic story with a title character going from one place to the next. However, this adaptation finds a different approach to doing it. Pinocchio still goes on a journey and meets a number of characters, but they're a lot more connected here. It's almost like a tug of war, multiple characters trying to get a hold of the puppet. I think this is definitely one of Guillermo del Toro's best movies. He and Gustafson take a story we're all familiar with, and they're able to make it fresh, give it a further emotional layer, and explore some necessary themes about rejecting fascist ideals. If you're unable to get to a theater playing the movie, please seek it out when it hits Netflix on December 9th, because this really is something quite special.